Andrea Struble. I was wondering about David Miscavige. I know he self-elected himself as COB, but what do paying Scientologists feel about that? There being no election, so to speak. Also, it seems so strange to me. Is there any electoral procedure within the Sea Org where the Scientology paying public participates? If I was paying that much money, I would want some say in things, or the ability to vote in people I think would be good for specific jobs. Does the paying Scientology public get any voting rights, or do they know anything about the high-ranking Sea Org staff, who they are, etc.? It all seems so mysterious. Okay, there's a few things to unpack here, so let me try to just kind of run through them. First off, the Sea Organization is a paramilitary group. It is not, and like the Army or the Navy or the Marines, you don't vote for who your commanders are or who your leaders are. It doesn't work that way. And David Miscavige is a member of the Sea Organization, first and foremost. And then he's the leading officer of the Sea Organization. He's the only captain, the only person who holds that rank, like in reality, like that's his actual rank. And I explained all of this in a long video where I break down all the Scientology organizational hierarchy, and so that you can watch that video to get how the whole structure is put together. So the Sea Organization is not open to criticism, debate, or input from the public paying Scientologists. They don't. It would be unthinkable to even consider that would be that way, any more than us as voters would vote in who the generals or joint chiefs of staff are, and at the level of the White House. That's just not how it's put together. Okay. Scientologists at the paying public level and the staff members simply accept that this is the way it is. The Sea Organization is granted, and the people who are in the Sea Organization are granted a great deal of respect and admiration because of their dedication to the cause. So they're looked at as, in the same way, I guess you would say, as the Pope or cardinals, the people at the Vatican, right? The normal run-of-the-mill Catholics don't vote for who their Pope is or who their cardinal is. It wouldn't even enter their mind to do that, right? These people are named and chosen and worked out by an inner circle, and that's kind of how it's viewed within the world of Scientology with the Sea Org. In fact, Miscavige wasn't looked at as self-appointed. Nobody in Scientology thinks he's self-appointed. They think Hubbard appointed him. And Miscavige has worked very hard for decades to create that perception that Hubbard, that he's there because Hubbard wanted him there. The people who don't believe that and who know otherwise, it's not just a matter of believing it, that they actually know what went down. Well, they're few. There are only a few of them, and they've come out of Scientology, and they have spoken about this. Jesse Prince, Nancy Maney, Mike Rinder, Marty Rathbun, people who were there. So that's how we know that Hubbard had nothing to do with appointing Miscavige to be, the heir to the empire, right? That's not how it went down. It was actually a coup, but that's all lost in the fog of time, as far as the world of Scientology is concerned. And history has been rewritten very thoroughly to show that Miscavige has, always been the chosen successor. So that's why Scientologists have so much faith in him and believe that. Now, as far as other Sea Org members, high-ranking Sea Org members, basically, Sea Org business is considered confidential and not something that is any public person's business, right? The public of Scientology all Scientologists really are told that they're kind of lucky to have found Scientology. There's a couple different views about it. There's so many things in Scientology. There's contradictory views, but there's the idea that it's sort of a fate or a karma that you find that you're in Scientology. You were meant to be there. You're the upper crust of humanity. But there's also a bit of a luck factor too, right? Which is looked at as, in other words, if you were to start questioning what's going on with the Sea Org, if you were to start questioning even what's going on with the staff, as a public person, they'd be looking at you like, who are you to be questioning us? That's not your place. You don't have, like Shelley, like when the story of how Tommy Davis dealt with Leah Remini, even a celebrity who's considered VIP and given all the ultra treatment. Even when she was asking about Shelley Miscavige not being present at Tom Cruise's wedding, where David Miscavige was, and that she hadn't seen Shelley in a while, Tommy Davis's response to her, to a celebrity VIP, was, "You don't have the fucking rank to ask that. You don't get to ask about where Shelley is. It's none of your damn business." And of course, this put Leah off, and she started asking more questions because she's a tough broad. But and you know, good for her, because that's what eventually led to her, you know, leaving. But that's the attitude, right? So no public person is owed anything by the Sea Org in terms of answers or information. And even within the Sea Org, when you're at a lower level, like I was, when I was at the Western United States level, when I was at a continental level, I wasn't privy to anything that was going on at the international level. I mean, I've learned everything I've learned about what goes on at the INT base. I've learned since I left, for the most part. I didn't know about the whole. I didn't know about who was in charge of what, because I wasn't there. And meaning I wasn't at the international base. And if you're not at the international base, you don't talk about what goes on at the international base, right? And people who come down from the international base and maybe visit, you know, the big blue buildings in Los Angeles or go to Flag or something, people don't grill them and ask them a whole bunch of questions about, hey, where's Shelley? Where? They don't do that. That's going to just get you in a lot of trouble, right? So, and they don't, you know, and I wondered, one of the things that sort of set me off was I was not seeing, you know, Heber, I wasn't seeing Guillaume Lassave, I wasn't seeing, you know, Ray Midoff, I wasn't seeing international executives that I had known about for years earlier, and I was wondering, where are they? But there was nobody to ask, because nobody could answer my questions, and the people who knew, you know, I wasn't in a position to ask them. So that's kind of how that all goes down, and that's why people just kind of learn not to question things. You just kind of go with the flow. And again, remember in this that for the paying public, they really don't care that much about what goes on in the Sea Organization. I mean, not only is it not their business, and that not only is it, you know, above their rank and pay grade, but they really just don't care. As long as they're getting their services, as long as they're getting what they're paying for, and they feel somewhat happy and, you know, somewhat like they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, that's all they want out of Scientology, right? They're not there to do the right thing. They're there to get that carrot, to get that, you know, that freedom, that personal spiritual immortality. And that's that kind of self-serving idea and attitude is part and parcel of Scientology and being a Scientologist. It's a, you know, it's kind of a complex thing. It's not easy to summate, but I hope I'm getting across to you how that attitude works, where, you know, and the individual public Scientologists are not in it to see to the greater good of Scientology. That's the staff and the Sea Org. The individual paying Scientologists are there to go OT and make it to the top of the bridge so that they can, you know, become, you know, OTs, become gods. And that's the point of what they're there for. So if they start questioning things, that threatens their ability to get up the bridge and go OT, because they could get in a lot of trouble, and they know that, and so they don't go there. And I think that explains the whole thing.